we get a triple header on Saturday. So I'm still trying to figure out how to break the news to Kelly that there's 3 games, starting with the Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals. We should actually go to the game. Island game, we should go.
The which game?
Vikings Bengals.
Which slot is that?
1 o'clock Saturday.
The 1 o'clock slot.
Yeah.
I have to write a refocus on that game.
Do you? You should do it from the stadium.
From the press box.
When I went to the game the other day, I hooked up to the Bengals Wi-Fi because it was Sunday night, and I was watching the All-22 of the
Are you still
Sunday
hooked
game.
into like the press Wi-Fi? Could you get
Not the press. I had the stadium Wi-Fi, which was good enough to grind film from the last row of the stadium, actually, believe it or not. So you could grind film and then write your refill. Vikings at the Bengals. It's Nick Mullins getting the start for the Vikings. Bengals are favored by 3 here. Nick Mullins versus Jake Browning would have been far less attractive just a few weeks ago if you had heard this. But Jake Browning balling out these last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, he has been. It's been pretty impressive. Now, are we in this? Is Jake Browning actually a lot better than people thought he was? Or has he just had 2 really good games and the sample size, nothing means anything anymore, right? I don't know yet.
Nothing means
And I don't know how long you need to see it before you decide. It's actually real.
I'll say this. The Vikings are – so we love team building. We love seeing what our takes were going to be, like the way teams have made decisions and how it's all going to play out. But I thought the Vikings were one of the more fascinating teams to just keep an eye on this season because their defense on paper, they got rid of stars, right? They got rid of stars and replaced them with unheralded, unproven young players. And I was curious because you've got, just the whole sorry. Let's cut that for social. Are they evaluating players differently? You've got Brian Flores' scheme, which was going to be a completely different scheme. Are they going to blitz like crazy? And it started off slow, but they have been excellent these last few weeks. And it's all the players that they invested in, that they bought into, who did not have a proven track record. The Cameron Bynums of the world, the Josh Metellises, Ivan Pace, of course, as an undrafted rookie linebacker. They've turned it into a very good defense there. And that's now an awesome matchup against Jake Browning, who just completes 80% of his passes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian Flores is assistant coach of the year, and I think at this point it might be an absolute landslide. Like last year it was Ben Johnson, and I think the same thing was true. It was clearly Ben Johnson. This year I think it's clearly Brian Flores. We said coming into the year, look, when a defense or when one side of the ball is playing horrendously and there's obviously a schematic problem, there's a degree to which simply removing the problem will solve a lot of your woes, right? So the Vikings got rid of Ed Donatel, who was the defensive coordinator a year ago, clearly dragging the unit down. It wasn't going well. If they just done that and replaced him with anybody, it probably would have had a pretty big step forward. But what Flores has been doing to a group that was built to suit a defense almost diametrically opposite this one in terms of philosophy has been remarkable. Like they're the most blitz-happy team in the NFL. They blitz more than anybody else. They're the only team in the NFL to blitz on more than 50% of their snaps. But they're not just the sort of they're not doing that in a conventional way that you imagine when you say, really blitz-happy team. They almost never blitz just one guy, right? So they're way down at the bottom of the rankings in terms of five-man rushes, right? So just one extra dude. They lead the league by a long way with six-man rushes, and they're second in the league with seven-man rushes. But they're also second in the league in three-man rushes, right? So what the Vikings and Flores do is they crowd the line of scrimmage. They make every play look like pressure is coming, and not just pressure, but a lot of it, right? And then you're faced with this dilemma if you're Jake Browning, for example, right? You're surveying this landscape. There's 7-8 guys up at the line of scrimmage, and you're like, I don't know if 6 guys are coming and I can pick it up, if 7 guys are coming and I can't pick it up, or if 3 guys are coming and actually if I'm trying to get rid of the ball immediately, I'm throwing right to 3 people, right? 3 defenders. And that's every snap for these quarterbacks. In addition to it's weird personnel. There's 3 safeties on the field. I don't know where they're necessarily going to be. I don't know what the rules are for them and where they're supposed to, is one of these safeties driving on the dig? Are they passing it off? Like, all of this has to happen immediately pre and post snap for these quarterbacks. And I think that's a nightmare for every quarterback. I think it's particularly difficult for a guy who's going on his, fourth start at this point. And if I was a betting man, which effectively we are in this show, I would say this will be a bad day at the office for Jake Browning.
Two things that I heard this week that kind of back up that point was Kirk Cousins on the Manning cast. They were going through and they're saying Wink's going zero blitz. And when Wink goes zero, it's like you have four guys across the top kind of off coverage, and they were all yelling out, hey, throw the quick out to the slot.
Right.
And that's exactly what Jordan Love did on that play. And then Cousins said, well, if that was Flores' zero, might be a corner there. Right. So he's playing the blitz coverages with extra trickeration on the back end, say like different rules, as you said, or different ways of doing it. It's not like, hey, when you get this look against Wink, you kind of know where you're going to go with the ball. There was that one, and then Harrison Phillips, the defensive tackle for the Vikings, kind of breaking down in some interview on NFL Network, I think it was, about how it's not just, hey, you've got the strong side A gap on this play. He's like, based off the rules, I could have 4 different gaps, and it's all reading it out. And this isn't like, it's not like a brand new defense, but it is far more complicated, different than what the Vikings had done. And they've got a bunch of smart veteran players mixed with the young players that they've invested in that I said that are executing it really well. So all that said, the Vikings defense has turned into #fun to watch. Don't know what you're going to get from them on a play-by-play basis, except they've played really well. Going up against Browning, I think it's going to be an excellent matchup. And then offensively for the Vikings, they've decided to move on from Josh Dobbs. There were a lot of drops in the game the other day, but they didn't score any points.
At least
or they
for the
scored
moment.
3 points. Nick Mullins came in to lead the field goal drive for Minnesota.
Yeah.
The one score. Justin Jefferson, is he questionable at this point with the?
He is, but he sounds like he's going to play. He certainly thinks he's going to play.
So the intriguing thing here with Mullins is, look, I mean, with Justin Jefferson back, what's the look?
I'm fascinated that there is an intriguing thing about Nick Mullins.
He can spread.
You can't possibly still want more Nick Mullins data points.
That's not more data. He could. It's game 2 of having Justin Jefferson back.
Yeah.
And knowing the fact that the Vikings had a productive passing attack without Justin Jefferson, I thought was encouraging for Minnesota. So now you move everybody down a notch on the depth chart, and you got Jordan Addison and you got Hawkinson, who's had to, be a high volume target at times this year. It's an intriguing group of playmakers, and Nick Mullins can maybe get them the ball. That's all.
All right, Are you a little bit surprised they haven't put Jaron Hall back in as the starter? Now, look, I said this to you yesterday. They have, 4 games left.
I don't know what happened there.
What are the chances that all 3 of these guys play another game?
I don't know what would have happened. I don't know what would have happened.
Mullins
that Nick
wasn't
Mullins
healthy, right? When Jaron Hall got the start, I don't think Mullins was healthy.
Oh.
So they were forced into this.
And Hall had 8 or 10 good play, like a good 10-play stretch or whatever.
Right, yeah, like one drive, right? So they were forced into this dynamic where Dobbs isn't ready because he arrived in the building yesterday, and, we have the rookie to go, and then the rookie got hurt, and it's like, crap, Dobbs has to play without knowing anything. Like, I think the idea was that Mullins wasn't ready to play or healthy at that point. Now he's healthy. Apparently he's ahead of Hall on the depth chart. But I thought, given, as you say, it's like, dude, I'm railing against sample sizes that are 2 or 3 games big, and we're talking about one drive. But given that one drive and the fact that we kind of know Nick Mullins, I'm surprised they haven't given him a shot. But I think it's because, they're in the playoff hunt, and it's like, it's seen as riskier than if he had nothing to lose. But I do think that none of these guys are, like, obviously they're all massive, massive downgrades from Kirk Cousins, and I suspect they're going to look similar in terms of like making enough mistakes to lose the game. So with 4 games left, it wouldn't shock me if each one of these quarterbacks is going to get a game at some point.
All right, man, we got to make some picks here. Bengals are favored by 3. Vegas is buying into Jake Browning against this Vikings defense.
Yeah.
Last year, when we started these Saturday games, that was when Minnesota played the Colts, made the greatest comeback in NFL history. So Minnesota on a Saturday in December, man. What do you think?
I talked myself into the Vikings defense doing a number on Jake Browning, so that's where I'm going.
You almost talked me into that. I almost talked myself into that as well. But I didn't believe in Jake Browning last week.
No.
And now I will.
Now you do.
Yeah.
Just 1 game. That's all it takes, huh?
Yeah. Well, 2 games.
Okay.
2 games.
He also,
If Jake Browning wins this game, he's MVP.
People tend to have forgotten that his first start was garbage. He played badly. He's played 3 games now. 2 of them have been fantastic, and one of them has been ass.
Yes. But again, when stories are told when you make cutoff points.
Yeah.
Of course, it was his first start. Everything's different now. Since his first start, he's great.
You brought up that Vikings-Colts greatest comeback game. I would urge people to go and listen to the interview that Jeff Saturday had on Pat McAfee. It's on YouTube in its own video, right? 10 minutes or whatever it is.
A one-off.
Yeah, well, there you go. One-off, just like us. It's so funny. It really is. Like, just to hear how... I mean, everyone said this at the time, but it's like this dude is way in over his head, right? And I think we undersold just how in over his head he was, Jeff Saturday. He sort of talks about it to McAfee, and he's like, he went into the coaches and was like, I don't know anything. I'm just here to help you guys do your job, basically. What do you need from me? What could I do to facilitate you guys doing a good job? But then during that game, the Justin Jefferson Vikings comeback thing, they're getting they're getting carved up in the second half. And Jeff Saturday goes over to Gus, right? He's like, Gus, what coverage are we running? We're getting, Justin Jefferson seems to be carving us up. And Gus like, dude, we've called them all. Like, none of them are working. But it struck me as very funny that he's sort of standing there watching this in the sideline and didn't know what they were running. It was just like, we should probably stop running the coverage that's allowing Justin Jefferson to have a catch every time he wants. Let's think about going in another direction. And Gus like, dude, we've gone through the whole playbook at this point. Nothing's working.
It reminds me, you ever have a dream where you've just been placed in a situation that you just have no idea what you're doing?
No.
You never just been, every now and again, I'm playing high school football or something like that at tight end. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I've never had that.
And they'll call a play or something. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Sounds like
Jeff Saturday.
Sounds like when you're an ESPN analyst and you become a coach in a week.
Coach Saturday.
Yeah.